All right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker up on TSN 4. Brian Hayes, Jason Strudwick. I love this, Struddy. We don't need a third guy. We don't want a third guy. Me and you for 2 hours. How we feeling this afternoon?
Oh, buddy, like my good friend Tiffany said, I think we're alone now. This is what I've wanted. I've wanted just some quiet time with you and all the listeners. We can get a little more intimate, really toss some ideas around without those other guys interfering with our chats.
I love it. I think we're alone now. What a great track, man. That is a great song. That is what you're playing coming out of the gate the next segment.
So good.
Great
Noodles
pull.
would slow dance to that one. That's the kind of guy. He'd slow dance to a fast song, right? Like
I agree.
That's his move. I've done it before, too. I'm not proud of it, but not that particular song.
It is a great track. I could see Noodles doing that. Summer wedding, black on gray, right? Black on gray, summer wedding, 30 degrees outside in a tent somewhere, and he'd be feeling it. I've seen him do it before.
Yeah.
Right? Sneaky talent, that guy. Sneaky talent. But it's great to see you, buddy. And, we got a lot of games in the NHL today. We had the, obviously, signing down at the Rogers Center today, or the official unveiling of Okamoto. He's here, and Scott Boras, and our boy Keegan was in the house for that. Keegan will join us later in the hour. But we got Leafs-Panthers tonight. And Brad Marchand is at it again. I'm sure you're aware of this. But he cannot wait to get into town. He circles this on his calendar like normal people would a vacation. You're going to Disney, I got to circle that, I can't wait. You're going to Vegas, circle that, can't wait. For Brad, it's when do I come to Toronto so I can absolutely troll everyone in attendance, and he did that today. Why don't we play a couple of these clips? And I want to get your response first, because I have a bit of a different view on this than I think maybe other people do.
Okay.
Let's begin with what he had to say about what could have happened if he actually got to free agency on July 1st.
Was there ever any interest from the Leafs last summer when you were a free agent to bring you on board to help their team out?
Yeah. Toronto was it was between Florida and Toronto of where I was going to go. Ultimately, if I never thought that it was going to be possible to re-sign in Florida, I really didn't.
All right, so he never actually got to free agency, Strud, but it turns out it was between two teams, and of course the other one was the Maple Leafs, which again is his favorite place, and he loves coming up here, and he loves chatting with the media, and he loves just being good guy Brad. What do you make of that revelation from Brad Marchand?
He's just messing with them. He's just messing with you. Like, I don't think he ever had any intention of leaving Florida. Why would you, right? He's been in Boston for a long time, goes down there. He wins the championship. He sees what it's like to live there. The team is still good and will be good for, I think, a little bit longer. To go back to Toronto would have been a good challenge for him. But I just think he's just trolling everyone. He's messing with everybody, all the Leafs fans. And we almost had him. No,
exactly.
You did, and he's got, what has he got, 21 goals or 22 goals?
He's playing great. That's the thing.
Really
he's
well,
He's
man.
playing, like, he played
really
himself onto the Olympic team, right? Where at the Four Nations, he was one of the original 6 picks, and I'm not sure he would have been at the Four Nations if it weren't for that. He had a really injury-riddled season last year. He struggled. The Bruins were a disaster. And once he got traded, he got healthy, he got down to Florida, he's completely revitalized his career. Not that it, fell off a cliff, but there was a dip early last season. And the way he played in the playoffs in particular was, I get why Bennett won the Conn Smythe, and he had bigger goals and bigger moments, and he played higher up the lineup. They beat the Leafs because of that third line. That's why it wasn't Sam Bennett. Now, Bennett knocked out Stolarz, and maybe that factored into some of the issues for the Leafs, possibly. Most notably Game 3, when they're up 2-0 and 3-1 in that game. If Stolarz is in, maybe they win that Game 3-2. Maybe it doesn't go to overtime. But who scored the OT winner in Game 3? Brad Marchand. Marchand did it. That third line and the way he played against the Leafs in the playoffs, he was phenomenal. He was incredible, and he obviously continued it throughout the rest of the Stanley Cup run. But he's earned his way back on to the Olympics and possibly playing a prominent role, which means the contract, which is still a ludicrous deal that he got, 6 years at big money, that is not going to age well. It's just not going to. At some point, the wheels are going to fall off for this guy. But they don't have to worry about it right now, and they're lucky they kept him with Barkov out, Kachuk out, all these injuries. If it weren't for him, they wouldn't be in the position they're currently in. But I think what he somewhat admitted, and I do think this is actually trolling, and this is a really good job, because the importance of trolling is you got to sell it like there's the potential for legitimacy, right? Like the best trolls, and this is why he's so great, he will say things where you think to yourself, I think he might be serious, right? It's like the Costanza line. Yeah. It's not a lie if you truly believe it. It's not a troll job if they know you're trolling. So this one actually opens up the door to the ability for Leaf fans to say, maybe he's right. Maybe he was actually going to come here. In reality, who knows what the Leafs were going to offer? Who knows what he was really thinking, where he wanted to go? Guy's lived in the States forever. He's got a wife, kids, all that. They're going to move to Toronto. I don't know. But ultimately, I think what may have come out of this, Strud, too, and we've known collusion has been around forever. We've known tampering's been around forever. He knew the Leafs were going to offer him something. It was well reported. Like the Leafs obviously would have loved to have had him. But there's a chance he used the Leafs to make sure he got the deal in Florida. There's a chance that he knew the Leafs were going to put $30 million total on the table, which is, by all accounts, what he was looking for. And Florida said, we can't have this guy leave town. We can't have this guy leave and stay in the division. So he may have played poker using the Leafs to make sure he got what he wanted in Florida, which, again, adds insult to injury. Because now the Leafs are involved in the negotiation without anything to show for it. And they got to keep playing against this guy, against their arch nemesis, who's already won a cup there. They've won 2 cups. They've been to 3 straight cup finals. And they're not off to a great start this year, and they're still ahead of the Leafs. So it just continues to pile on when it comes to Brad and the Panthers and Leaf fans.
Well, it sure does. And I think that, the Toronto area or city has been used before in other sports, right? Is it Soto and Ohtani have also, I think, used that market as kind of like to keep driving it up to give them another opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But with Marchand, your point is well made. That third line last year for Florida was really a second line, right? They were put as a third line. They were so good, so efficient. So, I mean, it would have been great to have him if you're a Leafs fan. And, that his contract will be similar to what happens with Tanev's contract. Like, it's not going to go well towards the end. But you're like, we need this guy now. We're going to keep him. We're going to figure this out. And then down the road, we'll figure out the mess and what happens. Maybe it's an LTIR situation or
he. And it may not just be him, right?
Issues.
Like Bennett might have issues by the end of his deal.
100%.
Ekblad could have issues by the end of his deal.
100%.
A lot of these guys.
Well, you abuse your body. Think about how much hockey, let's just use Ekblad and Bennett, or Barkov or any of these guys. The last 3 years, how much hockey they've played for their team, and then now we're bringing in the extras, with the Olympic team. Although no Barkov, no Bennett this year, but it does add up, and there's a price to pay for that at some point in your career.
Absolutely, and every year there's more of a toll. Every injury is just more and more difficult to get back from. So I think the Marchand comment on the free agency and the Leaf one, that's world class. Like that to me is just a brilliant line by him. I love it. He saved that material. He could have dropped it the first time he was in town. He chose not to. He went a different direction. He talked about how great the Leafs are and how they're not out of it and all that kind of stuff. Here's where I think he's getting sloppy. All right, let's play the next clip where he brings Mitch Marner into the fold. Here's what he had to say about Marner and his exit from Toronto.
I was serious about what I said with where they're at. As a group, the way that they're competing now, they compete the right way, which is what they kind of had to get over that hurdle. It's unfortunate the fans ran Marner out of town. That kind of, that's a huge impact for their group. He's a point-of-game player. Like that hurts.
Okay. Now we're getting sloppy here. Now, like I said, Costanza, it's not a lie if you truly believe it. It's not a troll job if we know you're trolling. Like, that's such a gratuitous, over-the-top comment where I think Leaf fans are like, all right, good one, good shot. Yes, the fans ran Mitch out of town. It wasn't his play. It wasn't his decision. It wasn't the contractual scenario. It wasn't all the losing. And Marchand talks about how they compete the right way, Struddy. It wasn't evident in Game 7. Wasn't evident in Game 5. Like that Game 7 performance the Leafs put on, you saw it. I was in the building. It was one of the most inept performances I've ever seen in my life from any team in any situation. It was not competing the right way. But this is where, Brad, I think his skis are just a little bit too far over the cliff, pushing Marner, running Marner out of town. And I think fans now are going to say, wait a minute, because what the history in Toronto is, the fans have always hated the media because there's a certain portion of the fan base that believes it's the media's fault for everything, right? Media is the reason the Leafs haven't won a cup in 60 years. Not the players, not the organization, not ownership, not management, not poor drafting, asset management, not cap manipulation, not COVID, not anything. Not the opponents being good. It's the media. Media is too tough. Media is running everyone out. I think what's interesting here is he didn't say the media ran Marner out of town. The fans ran Marner out of town. And I think that's where Leaf fans are going to say, wait a minute, I actually like this guy, Brad Marchand, who shouldn't be a guy that anyone likes in town because he has destroyed them for 15 years. He has owned them in every capacity for 15 years. I think that's where the buck's going to stop. Leaf fans are going to hear that and say, wait a minute. He's pulling our chain here. He actually is trolling, which is exactly what he's doing.
Well, I think the other part of it to me is that it's very condescending. He's like the big brother. Hey, they finally learned how to compete. Like, they finally got it. Like, if I was on the Leafs team, I'd be so pissed off. Like, I don't want to hear from you if we're competing hard enough or not. Like as you just mentioned, he's had, quite a bit of success against the Maple Leaf organization. And if I'm a player on that team, I'd be so pissed off getting on that lineup tonight. I'd be looking for him at every turn. Now, he wants that, and that's what he's looking for. And I get that, but doesn't mean you can't give him what he wants, right? Just go after him because it's so condescending. Like, we're over here trying, we're doing the right thing. You haven't been doing the right thing. So that's a shot at the core that's been there. That's right at Matthews. That is right at Nylander. That is right at Tavares. Like, those are the guys he's talking about. So I'd be really fired up if it was me in that dressing room tonight after hearing those comments.
That's a great point. And I had not looked at it through that lens. I'm looking at it through the fan, media, guy from Toronto, the fascination of Marchand and what he's done throughout his career. That, I think, is what should be actually relevant here. Because you're right. Like, he's sitting there saying, Brad Marchand, finally, I might have come to Toronto because you guys actually proved to me you're worthy of my, presence and my free agency, ultimately going through free agency and choosing you. Me giving you my rose, you've earned it because you finally proved that you know how to do it. Even though he's never been in that room, never worn a Leaf jersey, not from Toronto, to my knowledge, never lived in Toronto, doesn't know the history of the team, the market, the fans, the media, nothing. But that is a big part of it. And you're right. And even the, the part about Marner, it's that to an extent is like, well, he knows better. He knows what's going on. And I hadn't thought of it through that viewpoint that the Leafs, because I don't remember the last time anyone challenged him. Now, he's not a fight. Brad Marchand will fight. He's happy to draw you in. He can't wait to get you to do something stupid, and he'll trip you. He'll jab at you. He'll poke the back of your legs and take your feet out. He'll do everything, and he is up for that game. And he's on the perfect team for it because there's a lot of guys who will be in for the fight. The whole team will be in for the fight. But it's a very good point, Strud, that the viewpoint of longstanding Maple Leafs, like Morgan Riley, another guy you didn't mention, who's been here longer than anyone, who is on the hot seat here in Toronto, unlike at any point in his career because of the way he's been playing, you'd think you get an opportunity to get that guy, take it personally. But I don't know if they're wired that way. Like, I don't know if the Leafs are wired that way. And the Leafs, based on their history, they may look at him and say, they ran our buddy Mitch out of town, and he's right. Give us some credit. We are competing in the right way. I don't know if they look at him as an enemy necessarily. Maybe they love what he's saying because they think that he's actually pumping their tires when he's really not, because I think your viewpoint is 100% accurate.
Yeah, I sure wouldn't see it that way. And listen, a guy like Brad Marchand, you can't beat him at his own game.
No,
he's
the best at it.
You can't try to chirp with him or slash him or whatever like that. He wants that. The way you maybe not beat him, but you equal him, is you compete as hard as you can against him. Every single shift, you have to show up and compete against him. And that's it, because he wants you to get dragged into those, chirping fests. He wants you to try to slash him after the whistle or remember when he licked Callahan's face? That's what he wants. But you compete between the whistles and you skate away. And it does allow that extra piece of him that makes him such a special player get involved in the game. And that has to be up and down the lineup. You have to, Matthews or whomever, Brandon Carlo, who's coming back tonight. I know he knows him well, but say, guys, we play him hard between the whistle, and if he tries to do something more, you skate away. That's it. He's not going to fight you. Don't think you can drop your gloves, because he's just going to drag you and you get the 2 extra. But that is how you beat a guy like Marchand. You can't beat him at his own game, but you can match his competitiveness. And that is what you need to do to handle a guy like that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like, remember those battles back in the day, the Habs and the Bruins 10 years ago? Remember PK got him coming across? That was one of the biggest hits ever when Subban got him and he had his head down. And they battled, though. Like, the Bruins were the better team. The Bruins, and this is a different era, different team, different scenario. But that Bruins team was built a lot like this Panthers team. Like, bigger, tougher. You got to answer for something. You go after any of our guys. Chara's waiting for you. Lucic is waiting for you. Horton's waiting for you. Thornton's waiting for it. Like, they were loaded with guys. And the Habs would just say, between the whistles, we're going to go. And that's kind of how the Leafs are built. And that's precisely what needs to happen, because it's a massive game tonight. The Leafs are sitting on 45 points. The Panthers are at 47 points. This is the beginning of the second half tonight. They're both about to play their 42nd game. Like, it's crunch time. It's go time. We did the numbers yesterday and did the math yesterday. The Leafs have 16 games between now and the Olympic break. Florida tonight, at Philly on Thursday, Vancouver at home on Saturday. And then it's like at Colorado, at Vegas, at Edmonton, Minnesota at home. Like, they got some really tough games coming up. 2 tough road trips through the southwestern parts of the states, out to Western Canada, playing Seattle. It's go time for the Leafs here, Strud. And you got to take advantage of a game like tonight, because you can't allow Florida, Montreal, Tampa, Detroit, any of these teams within your division to take points off you and separate that much more than they already are.
Well, and it's just so tight. And every night, I mean, you can move up or down a number of slots with a good or bad week. It's incredible how I don't ever remember it being this tight before. And I look every morning at the standings, the scores, and see where everyone's at. And it's like, geez, these have won 2 or 3 in a row, but they've barely moved up. Or look at Buffalo, who's rattled off so many wins, and they just got themselves into contention, and now they're out again. So you're right. For this group, I think it's too big for them to think that we have to get. What did you say? They have 12 games or 16 games before the
16
break?
games.
16,
a lot of them.
So you can't think we've got to win 10 of these. You got to just win tonight. Like, just worry about tonight. Then worry about the next 2. Philly, playing pretty well as well. But just one game at a time, because it's just and I found during the season, it's just so much to think about. We need to get 20 of the next 32 points or 22. It's a lot to swallow at one bite.
Yep. No, you're right. I mean, the Leafs are 4-0-2 in their last 6 games. They have 10 of a possible 12 points. And they're second last in the division. Yeah. Right? Crazy. And that's only because Ottawa lost last night. So it's just one of those scenarios where it's very difficult. And the way they dug themselves a big hole in the first 30 games, every team in the East has a winning record. Every team in the division, Tampa keeps winning, and Montreal finds a way to win. And Buffalo, like you said, had won 10 in a row, and they've got Vancouver at home tonight. I think they're in a good position to win that game. It's just going to be more and more difficult every single night.
But they do have time, right?
Yeah, they do. 41 games.
It's not like there's 10 games left, but they do have to, look every 2 weeks. We got to make up a point, or whatever the math is. There's probably a math wizard out there would know, but you've got to keep pace and slowly creep up and knock teams down. And that's where you start tonight. Those interdivision games are huge.
Absolutely. Ken tweeting in with a great point. He said Marchand ran Martin out of town as much as anyone else by beating the Leafs in the playoffs every year. That's right.
It'd be interesting to see what would happen, right, if they had won that game.
Yeah.
And then really the whole playoffs would have been different.
But not only that year, not only last year, Strud. When he was in Boston, they lost in 18 and 19 in Game 7 and in 2024 in Game 7. Like he is 5-0 in his life against the Leafs in Game 7. 2013 obviously was the most notable, where the Leafs were up 4-1 with 11 minutes to go. But the last 4 have been 18, 19, 24 and 25. And Marner was here for all that. And Matthews and Riley and Nylander and Tavares was there for the majority of them as well. I think all of them. So you're right. I mean, that's they win any of those. They beat him and the Bruins or the Panthers. It's a completely different landscape. It's a completely different history. And the fans have a very different viewpoint of the whole reputation of the core. And they couldn't get it done because of him in large part.
Well, gee, I wonder if those guys go back and watch. And I know it's hard to watch losing. Now, I never had that situation. I did win in junior, a couple times, the Memorial Cup, but we just did the right thing every time. And I don't have to make this about me, but when you're in a winning program, usually you're mentally strong to do the right thing every shift, and that takes you over the top. Like Peter DeBoer's talked about that. Like I don't really do anything special in Game 7s. I've done it already. All the work leading up to that, we know how to play. And so I wonder if those guys ever go back and watch and say, okay, like, what were the small details that broke down in this game, even as far as the preparation or a game plan or my personal approach to the game or my personal approach to it 2 months leading to the playoffs? Because I think you have to be so comfortable playing any style of game with those tight Game 7s and knowing, though, your game is tight and you're going to beat the other team over time.
Absolutely. And I think that's what was so perplexing for Craig Berube, experiencing it live. Like, what happened here? Yeah. Because there was video, the Amazon video, the cameras were there, and you could see it on his face. He's like, what the hell are we doing here? They had a good season, played well against Ottawa. Game 5 was ugly, but Game 6, they went down, played really well, shut down Florida, won that game, and then Game 7 was like it was crazy. Like, I still can't believe that game played out the way it played out. Not that they lost, but that they basically never showed up. All right, Leafs Panthers tonight. We'll continue to tee that up throughout the afternoon. Johnny is back from Minnesota. Congrats to the Swedes. Sweden with a big win last night. They captured the gold, and Canada got up for that bronze game too. They end up winning a bronze medal. So Johnny will join us, confirm or deny, later this afternoon as well. And Keegan Matheson coming up on what he saw, what he heard today. Kazuma Okamoto in town. Scott Boras up there talking. Ross Atkins with a couple interesting quotes about what else the Jays could do the rest of the offseason. We'll play a couple of those clips. We'll catch up with Keegan. We'll do that next. All right, OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you more ways to play your game your way. Really is a great song. Like, it really sets a tone. Strutty, just you and I. Just you and I.
Just like I always wanted. This is the best Christmas gift I could have got. A little late, but I'll take it, man. I get 2 hours with you.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. It's an intimate ride, a 2-hour intimate ride. Strutty and Hazy B. Can't wait for it. We got Confirm or Deny coming up a little bit later in the hour. Got a third wheel, though, on the line who wants to kind of disturb the whole thing we've got going on here. I guess we'll accept it. Here he is, our boy from MLB.com, and big part of TSN, Keegan Matheson. How you doing, Keegan?
Good, fellas. I should have brought drinks or something if I'm going to screw up the whole vibe you've got going on here. But
snacks.
Happy to be here, fellas. How we doing?
Great to see you. Great to see you, man. So I saw your tweet. Like, obviously there was the big presser today, and I'm loving the nicknames, Big Oak and Big Baby. Can you confirm those are the two options for Okamoto or what?
That's right. And I think his nickname in Japan, one I read, was the Young General, which is, it's got some edge to it too, but
yeah.
But Big Baby and Big Oak, I guess Glenn Davis can lose that title from the NBA days, but Big Oak, man, quite the press conference. Probably more media there than there was for Vladdy's extension, because you had Japanese media there, which is massive. Like, I cannot overstate, guys, how much interest there is in Okamoto from Japan. There's no comparison for this. Like, Steve Nash and Shea Gilgeous, like, that's not a comparison. Top Canadian soccer player going over to play Premier League, that's not a comparison. Like, multiply that by 1 million. Man, it's fascinating.
Really? So, obviously, he's been a pro over there for a long time, and he's represented the national team, and he's put up great numbers. He's not a young guy. He's 29 years old. He's not Shohei. I mean, Shohei's at a different level completely. I have to believe Sasaki is now at a different level, I would think. But is he in the running for like 2, 3, 4? I don't know how much you know of the Japanese baseball hierarchy, but you mentioned the amount of media. Like, is this expected to be a consistent theme? And do you think this factored into what the Jays were hoping for, is really tapping into a pretty big market over there?
Yeah, guys, that matters. It really does. And with Okamoto, like, there's an aura about this guy. And playing for the Yomiuri Giants in Japan, the easy comparison is that's like playing for the Yankees. Like, a lot of history, a lot of respect around that team. And he was one of the faces of that team for a while. He had 6 consecutive 30-plus homer seasons. Like, he's a big deal in Japan. Okamoto is a big deal. So the attention coming over is part of this deal. Okay, and when you sign Ohtani, yeah, that's another thing entirely. But when you go out and grab the eyeballs that you get with Okamoto, all of the people watching are going to want a jersey. They're going to come to a game. They're going to buy a beer. They're going to feed into this machine the Blue Jays are building right now. That's all part of it. And it kind of comes together perfectly, baseball and business here. But the Jays have wanted a slice of this Japanese market. And they've wanted to do it this way. They had Yusei Kikuchi. They acquired him in MLB, free agency. Right now, they are getting that slice they've been after and missed on before. But especially in Toronto, guys, this can be huge.
So which player on the Blue Jays will be impacted, and how does he impact the Blue Jays with his style of play?
When I look at lineup fit, guys, Ernie Clement probably gets bumped over to second base. But there could be some impact on Ernie. And Addison Barger, I think, gets impacted a bit because he'll lose some third base, probably have to play a lot more right field. I don't think that's a bad thing, guys, in either case, because Ernie Clement can mash lefties. We know he's a great defender, great base runner. Addison Barger crushes righties. So you can start to use some of these guys in some different platoons, put it together a little smarter, and that's a good thing. What I like about Okamoto is that he comes over, and he's kind of a plug-and-play hitter, guys. A lot of times when a Japanese pitcher or player comes over, we're talking about, man, like, will his power translate? Is he going to get crushed? Okamoto is, I hate the word safe, but as safe, relatively speaking, as you can get with these hitters coming over. And he fits the Jays really well. He does everything the Blue Jays do. He's annoying to face as a pitcher. He's going to work counts. He's going to take walks. And then, right when you get comfortable, he's going to hit a home run. He can do both. I think he really fits this lineup very well. Like, this is not just a good player, but a good match. And I think that's rare to find internationally.
Well, in terms of the ripple effect on the rest of the roster or what else they could do throughout the rest of the offseason, I want to play this clip from Ross Atkins earlier today when he was posed that question, like, what else could happen with a lot of big names out there, Tucker, Bichette, and others. Here's how Ross answered that.
We'll always be open to making our organization and team better if there's a way to do that. At this point, we were answering the question back in early December and even in November that we felt good about our team as we were set at that point, and that remains the question. That remains the case, and we've made it better. So we do feel good about our team. The one thing that I would add is additions at this point will start to cut away at playing time from players that we feel are very good major league pieces. So we have to factor that in.
That last part, I think, is a really important point. And what you just kind of talked about with Clement and Barger and what could happen there. But I think it poses a very important question that probably is not being brought up enough. Like, how much change is too much change? I know everyone's going crazy now, and it's EA Sports, and we're all in dynasty mode, and go get this guy and bring that guy in and just load up. At some point, we got to remember, like, they were in Game 7 of the World Series. This is not a team that won 75 games last year. This was the best team in the American League, the top seed in the American League. They look great throughout the playoffs. Being too loyal, it can be just as detrimental as being too active, vice versa. So where do you stand on this, Keegan, in terms of how you interpret that comment and most importantly, how it could apply to the pursuit of Tucker and or Bichette?
Yeah, you need to look at the net outcome now. If the Blue Jays had a center fielder who just plain sucked, you go sign whoever and you come out in the positive. right now, I think when you look at Bichette and Tucker individually, with Bichette, how much of an upgrade is he giving you at second base? I consider him a second baseman now, over Ernie Clement every day. And you need to be really honest with yourself. I know that Ernie Clement had a great postseason and everyone loves him. And damn it, you should love the guy. But you need to be honest with yourself about who he is over the course of a season. How much is Bichette an upgrade over that? Versus in the outfield, who would Kyle Tucker be taking reps away from? The short answer is that it doesn't matter because he's really good. But probably Nathan Lucas, to an extent, Anthony Santander. You've got to do the math on how big an upgrade that would be. So you're not upgrading from zero anymore. The money's really got to be worth it. But I think that when you're talking about players like Bichette, like Tucker, they're worth it. We'll see where their markets come to. I think everyone's waiting for the market to come down for one of these guys to do what Alex Bregman did a year ago, where you take a shorter deal, have some opt-outs, make it easier for everyone. But at this point, I still think the Blue Jays make a ton of sense for both Bichette and Tucker. I think that Tucker makes a bit more sense given the position, frankly, at this point. But when the money is right, each of them fits this roster, makes the Blue Jays better. And, God, it's already been an amazing offseason. One of the best off seasons in Blue Jays history. But I do think the Blue Jays have room for more, and I think the motivation's there.
Yeah, which is pretty incredible. And, like the turning over of arms, that is inevitable. It's going to happen. Like you presume Scherzer's done, Bassett's done. Okay, you go get Cease, you go get Ponce, you bring in Rogers. You knew there was going to be some turnover in the bullpen. I think there's still potential for more there. But in terms of the everyday at-bats, like there's only so many you can get. Like arms, you can never have too many. Bats, you can. And also there is a budget here, you would presume. At some point, Rogers is going to say, all right, that's enough. So if they go out and get one of these guys, Tucker and or Bichette, regardless of the length of the deal, we're talking 2026 payroll, it's going to be a lot of money. Do you think they would be prepared? I would have to believe they are preparing for it, that if and when that happens, pretty quickly afterwards, you're going to see a trade, whether that's Santander that goes, whether it is maybe Ernie Clement, selling him high. Again, he's a folklore player here right now in Toronto. Everyone loves him. But could you be selling him at a height that maybe isn't actually realistic for what you project he'll be in the rest of his career? Is Barrios 100% a part of this roster moving forward? Like, how much of that do you think could be determined still, Keegan? Forget just signing a guy or two, trades that might come afterwards.
Definitely an option. I wonder if that happens now or if the Blue Jays would just lean in for a year, say, screw the taxes, screw the extra charges. We're going for it heavy this year. And a year from now, where let's see, guys, George Springer, Dalton Varsho, Kevin Gausman, Shane Bieber, and others come off the books. Then you can try to reset your books a little bit more. Because when I look at this offseason going into spring training, like you said earlier, everyone wants to play video game. Okay, cool. Trade Barrios, trade Santander. The same reason that people are saying that is the same reason that the Pirates or the Reds or the Padres or whoever you call will say, no, thank you, unless you eat most of this money, which is what you're trying to get rid of in the first place. And I don't think the Jays are super eager to throw in a prospect to make teams take that money. That's kind of what you have to do. You have to pay them to take it. I don't think they're eager to do that either. So with Barrios especially, I'm most interested in the Barrios case because he's been so good for so long. And now suddenly he's landed in this awkward spot. And these things tend to take care of themselves. Someone will pull a hamstring or have a bad spring. It happens. But he is the one I'm most curious about middle of spring training, late spring training. If needs are opening up somewhere else, if somebody blows an elbow in another city, do they come calling for Barrios? Maybe there's more room there.
So if the Blue Jays don't get either of those position players signed to a contract, do they have enough to be as good as they were last year?
I think they do. Now, I still think they should go out and get another guy, but I think the offseason they've had has been spectacular. And the timing of it, guys, matters so much and how it's paced out because the baseball offseason, I mean, my God, I wish that every free agent had to do it like a Japanese free agent where they declare, okay, here's my 1 month window. Sign me in this 1 month and let's put some ticking clocks on this somehow, some way. But the Blue Jays what they've done, adding Cease, Ponce, Rogers, and Okamoto, like that is one hell of an offseason. But I think because Cease happened so early, I mean, I even forget it sometimes, guys. That was this offseason. He hasn't pitched for the Blue Jays yet. I'm reminding myself of this sometimes. So if all of this had have happened in a dense December rush, I think it would be talked about a bit differently. The Blue Jays have spent more than anyone. They have done more and done better than anyone this offseason. That said, they're also losing a lot of talent, Bo included. So I think that they are good enough to be a World Series contender. Another big move makes them a World Series favorite right next to the Dodgers.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that this last season came out of nowhere, effectively.
Yeah.
I mean, the year before they won, 74 games, where, you look at the Dodgers, like they have been consistently great for a decade, and they've just gotten better and better every single year. I do think that factors into, I'm sure, management's viewpoint, too. Like, what can we really believe? What can we really trust? But certainly from a fan's perspective, like you mentioned, this is one of the great off seasons they've had, for sure. We all remember, what was it, 2012 or 2013, the Marlins deal.
The Marlins.
Go and get R.A. Dickey. And that was the greatest offseason of all time. And I think they won 76 games that year. And I wouldn't predict that for this team. They're really good. But what does Springer do? What is Nathan Lucas? What is Clement? What is Trey Savage? I don't think that's been brought up enough. Trey hasn't gone through the ringer of the league. Like he hasn't had a slump in the major leagues, which is going to happen, right? He's going to run into 3 or 4 straight starts where he can't get out of the 4th inning and he doesn't have his stuff and his arm starts to die out a little bit. Like these are all things that have to be calculated and calibrated in terms of the projection. And that's what makes the offseason feel so great and so long and what makes it so unpredictable. But that's the job of Ross and Mark, and what they can do this year that is so different from last year, Keegan, and you would know it better than anyone else. They can breathe. Like Atkins is cool, calm, and collected up there. Last year, man, he was a mess. You could feel the stress. There's no stress, and that's what a great season can do for you.
It's because a year ago I was on here trashing the team every day, probably.
Right.
And rightfully so at the time.
Right beside you, buddy.
Things
right?
change.
Exactly.
Things change as time moves on. But this time last year, this was an organization with no momentum and no pulse. Mm-hmm. And it felt like it was just running out of steam. So, yeah, things do feel a bit different around the front office, too. But like you say, you're talking about Savage. Let me remind you of Alek Manoah. Yep. Let me remind you of all of these players and pitchers who have come up. Now, Manoah and Savage, 2 different cats. But when you look at early success, and when you look at a season like George Springer, which is important to mention, when you look at all these role players who contributed at exactly the right time every time, and when you look at how healthy the Blue Jays were last year, the job of an MLB front office, as glamorous as it sounds, is to look around and think about what could go wrong. Mm-hmm. What could screw all of this up? And that's what the Blue Jays, I think, are doing a good job of. They're insulating themselves. And it's why I think another move is still a good idea. I think they can still swing it. I think it would put them over the top. But they're not just trying to replace Bo. They're not just trying to replace these small things. They're trying to prepare for a season that might have some speed bumps. Last year was as good as it gets. That is the ultimate example of when everything goes right. God, that's not always going to happen. And when it doesn't, you've got to be prepared. That's why I think more needs to come.
Yep. Great stuff, Keegan, as always. Thank you for doing this. We'll do it again soon.
You got her, fellas. Take care.
There he is, Keegan Matheson of MLB.com, big contributor here on TSN. And, even the whole, vibes in the room stuff, very difficult to calculate, in a sport that is so obsessed with the finite numbers and, things that are tangible. That's a big part of what they were this year, Strud, was a clubhouse that loved each other. They loved showing up at the park every day. They couldn't wait. You don't want to disturb that, but you also don't want to put so much stock in it that it could fall apart because they lose 5-6 games in a row.
Yeah, I mean, the chemistry does matter. Like, I think of the story where Barger slept on Schneider's couch, like in I think it was the World Series or.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was.
It's incredible. Like, I love that story. That just tells them they're just guys having fun and they're going to play baseball at night. And I don't think you can discount it. You want to make the team better, but you don't want to break up what you had that was so special. So I keep thinking of Bichette. Like, yeah, he had all those hits and he seemed very calm and cool in those moments, but he's a part of that fabric. You know, he and Vladdy have been there a long time together. You know, do you want to disrupt that? And is Tucker a better player? Well, you know, maybe in some ways, but Bichette's been there. He's been there for all that stuff. The good times, the few they've had, some of the bad times. And I don't know. I'd love to see him come back in there with all these other additions, especially with the arms.
Yep, and exactly the highest expectations of any point in his career as a Blue Jay too. I mean, that's going to be something they have to wade through as well.
Yeah,
you know, now the bar is 11th inning, Game 7 of the World Series. That's the bar. You know, it's not 74 wins, 78 wins, 83 wins. It's not 30-30 during the COVID year. Now, all of a sudden, you're a winning team, winning pedigree, winning expectations. How do you handle that? It's a very different scenario for the Blue Jays. All right, Mike Johnson coming up. Bonesy will join us. Joe Bowen from the booth ahead of the game tonight. We'll sneak in some confirm or deny as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on TSN 4.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Boston trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for confirm or deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right, Strutty, confirm or deny. Very simple stuff. Statements are made. We either confirm them or we deny them. Very easy stuff. Let's begin with one in your wheelhouse. My wheelhouse as well. I think every hockey fan excited for this pursuit. Confirm or deny at least one of Connor McDavid or Nathan MacKinnon will reach 150 points this season.
Yeah, I'm going to confirm it. I think these guys are absolutely flying right now. They seem to be in a competition with each other. The only thing I think that might challenge is this: how much hockey they're playing in a shorter time, and you factor in the Olympics. That's why I won't say both, but I will say one.
Well, I'm going to deny it because of that last point. I mean, we're in the storm right now where these two are just absurd. Like the points by McDavid I mentioned yesterday, Kucherov has come alive all of a sudden. He's got 25 points in his last 11 games. Now Kucherov's got 59 points. He's starting to kick tires. Like, it's amazing. It's the same guys every year. It's McKinnon, McDavid, Kucherov, Draisaitl. Every single year it's the same guys. Celebrini jumps in. But McKinnon's at 74 right now. McDavid's at 72. They both have, I believe, 40 games left to play. Can they do it? Of course. Are they capable of it? Of course. It's going to be crazy post-Olympic break, you know, and they're going over there. They're going to play major minutes. Is there a letdown, a natural one? Even if you win, you know, you're riding high, the 2-week craziest moments of your life, and then you got to come back and play Columbus, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess we're getting up for this. And in Colorado in particular, I wonder about McKinnon, and they're so far out in front. Now, Dallas is on their heels to an extent, but do you load manage a little down the stretch? Could Connor take his foot off the gas a little? I think they're both going to clearly hit 130 points. 140 maybe. 150, I'm going to deny it. Strud, call me a hater, I'm going to deny it. I got to be consistent. All right, confirm or deny. One of the number one seeds in the NFL, that being the Denver Broncos or the Seattle Seahawks. One of the Broncos or the Seahawks will win the Super Bowl this year. Both the number one seeds, both with a bye, huge advantage, home field throughout the AFC and NFC.
I'm going to – oh, mama.
A tough one. I'll go first. I'm denying it. I'm denying it.
Okay.
I'm going to deny it because I think it's such a crapshoot year this year. They're obviously they have a ticket. Obviously, they're in a very advantageous position, avoiding the wild card round, home field. They're both really good. But, you know, Darnold's got to show it. Bo Nix has got to show it at some point. You know, a hot quarterback here is going to win you a Super Bowl because I think a lot of these teams are so evenly matched. And I can't get to a point where I trust that Darnold and or Nix are going to win a Super Bowl this year. I don't think it's going to happen. So I'm going to deny it. I think with how unpredictable this season has been, it'd be too predictable to say the number one seed is going to win the Super Bowl. I don't think it adds up with the storyline of the 2025 NFL season.
Yeah, so I'm hesitant to. So usually, you look back to the last number of years, it's been clear who the favorite is. And even though these guys are the tops, I don't feel super passionate about either one. And I like elements of both their games. I will deny it as well, but I will say asterisk beside Seattle. There's something about Seattle, like the way they play.
They look good.
They're a strong team, well coached, well organized, deep. So I'd say if of the two teams, I'd go with Seattle, but it just feels like it's too easy. Look back the last number of years, it's been Kansas City or going back even further to New England. It's clear. It's not clear this year, and that's scary.
It's not, and it is scary. It's different. I think it's going to be a crapshoot, which is great because it's very difficult to predict who's going to win a Super Bowl this year, let alone who's going to even get there. All right, confirm or deny, Austin Matthews will finish top 5 all-time in goals scored. Now, before you answer that, I'll give you the numbers on who's sitting at top. Obviously, Ovechkin's at 914, Gretzky 894, Gordie Howe 801, Jágr 766. So Brett Hull is currently in 5th at 741. That is 320 goals ahead of Austin Matthews. So he has to score 321 the rest of his career to pass Brett Hull. A lot of goals still.
6, 7. What has he got? 7, 8 more years? Yeah, I think he could do it. I think top 5 is a reasonable number for him. Yes.
Okay.
Confirm.
Yeah.
You?
It's a lot of goals, man. It's a lot of goals. I worry about where his body's at. Like a year and a half ago, I would have said 100%. I thought he could maybe chase down Ovechkin. That's asking a lot. Now, I will say this. Sid is still playing, and Sid's at 649. Like, do you think Sid's got 100 goals left in his career? Maybe. Sid might reset the top 5. He keeps playing another 3 or 4 years. He probably will, but I'm gonna deny it just because I worry about the physical issues with him. 321 more goals, that's a lot of goals, man. I think he'll get to 600 no problem. 650 likely, pushing 7. Top 5 all time is crazy, and he's scored at that level throughout his career. But I might change my mind in a year or two if I see he's back at it and he's been great the last couple of weeks. But I'm going to preserve the top 5 for right now. All right, we'll sprinkle in a few more confirm and denies coming up into the next hour. Mike Johnson will join us. Joe Bowen coming up. Leafs Panthers tonight. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
I need you to hold on. Heaven is a place not too far away. We all know I should be the one to say we all make mistakes. Take my hand and hold.
Hour 2 OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. World Juniors officially behind us. Mike Johnson back to his day job. Johnny will join us here in a few moments. And it's always bittersweet. Like, it's a great tournament. Canada lost. Is that how we perceive it, Strud? I mean, they won bronze, but they didn't win the gold. So how would you describe it? Did they win? Did they lose? Where do you stand on this? Because everyone's got a different take on the World Juniors and minor hockey and what's going on in the country right now.
Well, listen, minor hockey, there's a lot going on in minor hockey. There's leagues all over the place, different leagues, and I think that's a huge discussion. But as far as the Team Canada World Junior, I think that every time they go into that tournament, the expectations are you should win. And whether that's fair or not, that's just it. We pride ourselves on being the nation of hockey, and we've done really well. And you look through a lot of the different tournaments, whether it's U18, U17, all the way down, we do really well. And when we don't win gold medals, it's disappointing. I think that, and for those kids, it's disappointing, and not to put pressure on them, but that's just the way it is. So I think that we ran to a Czech team that really, really played well and knew how to counterattack what Canada was trying to do. So yeah, they win bronze, it's a good memory, but I don't think anyone in there is too satisfied with not getting the gold.
No, I think that's 100% correct. I watched the gold medal game. Sweden was really good. I'm not sure Canada was beating them. Even if you got through Czechia, I'm not sure you were going to beat Sweden last night. But, in terms of where we stand, like one game losing to Czechia, and I know it's 3 years in a row, previous 2 years in the quarters, like leading to this big existential conversation about Hockey Canada and the sport and what it means for the country and the symbolism of it all. It's just, I think we're just looking at it. It's too deep, guys. Like it's not that deep is the point I'm making. They lost a game. We're still the number one hockey country in the world. Yes, there are other countries that do well, like there always have been. You know, there's always been other countries that have done very well and that have committed to the sport, and more players are playing in the States and other countries around the world, which is a great thing. I still would put Canada in the way we do things and the way we run things and the players we produce and the highest levels, whether it's U16, U17, U18, all the way up to the Olympics and the men's team. We're still the best. We're still number one. Losing to Czechia didn't change that. We have a lot of young players who are playing in the NHL. Celebrini could have been there. Schaefer could have been there. Dickinson could have been there. Kindle could have been there. If they were there, they probably win. They probably destroy everybody. So I think for whatever reason, it's almost like there's a portion of the hockey community in the country that are waiting to launch into this conversation, like waiting to take shots at everything and waiting for the downfall of Canadian hockey so they can say, I knew it. I told you it was coming. Or I've seen it, I've experienced it, I've witnessed it. Like, it's almost like people are rooting against us in a weird way. And it's an uneasy feeling from my standpoint because we won the Four Nations, we won all these other tournaments, we still develop the best players. It's McDavid, McKinnon, McCarr, Celebrini, Crosby, they're all Canadian. Like, they're all Canadian, and they always have been. I've always said that. Gretzky, Lemieux, Crosby, Orr, Howe, Richard, go down the list. It's always been Canadians. That didn't change because we lost to Czechia in the semifinals of the World Junior. It's too much, in my opinion. And the minor hockey stuff, I get everyone's got a different viewpoint. Everyone's got a different experience. I don't know. You know, I have young daughters that are currently playing. They're at a very low level. I've been incredibly impressed with our hockey association, the way it's been run, the attitudes, the approach, the commitment to the community, the building up of the players and the kids. It's been outstanding, my experience. But I think what gets lost in this, and I'm curious where you stand on this, Strud, is you're talking about people's children here. They're always going to put them first over the hockey association, over even the betterment of hockey in general. You know, there's this attack, because you mentioned it, these super teams and these different programs. Yeah. And I'm not saying I love them. I'm not saying I support them. I don't know enough about them. But I also can't sit here and say if I had a kid that could play in it, I'd say no for the betterment of the sport. I'm putting my kid first. That's what every Canadian parent does. So let's not forget that. Like, you're going to put your kid first. And that's the reality of where we're at right now.
Yeah, and I have two boys that play, and I think that what I've seen is that there's so many leagues, sanctioned and unsanctioned. It's just hard to get everyone in the same room to play against each other because they're in all these different leagues. And that's from U7 right up to, you know, we see it with junior leagues. So I think that's the challenge. You know, when I was growing up, the best players, you know, and the best teams played against each other all the time because we were all in the same league. Right. There's only one choice, minor hockey. Now there's a lot of other choices, which I get. You know, people want to do it a different way. And I think that's the challenge for Hockey Canada, these groups. How can we get it back together so everyone can compete against each other and we see, you know, the different levels play against each other all the time?
Sure. All right, here's Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. What's happening, Johnny?
Just stepped in the door like 2 seconds ago. Long travel home. Lost our bags, like half of our crew without our bags. Oh, is going to be super happy tomorrow, Hazy. So, yes, and then I'm walking into, a referendum on Canadian hockey all of a sudden? Like,
you're not aware of that? Yeah, Czechia has ruined the country. Czechia has ended us.
So maybe should we be copying Czechia?
Yes.
The country that didn't have a medal in 22 years, that's who we're copying? So, it is slight overreaction, which I get. We are passionate. And just because, you know, they're very good, Canada hockey is very good, Canadian hockey players are very good, doesn't mean you can't have good, healthy conversations about doing things better. But, you know, a little knee-jerkish to me. Like, I don't think, and I don't have boys. My kids did not play hockey growing up. They played other sports. But the hockey's not alone in this, whether it's AAU basketball, whether it's elite level club volleyball, whatever it is. I mean, parents and kids get a little zany about these sporting events and chasing down their dreams. So, I think it's just maybe a breath and some perspective and a reminder that, Canada still turns out the most best players. And I think that's evidenced every year by the NHL and the draft and the juniors and all of it. So, yeah, I mean, can get better, obviously, but it's not like it's falling apart.
No, exactly. And listen, it's expensive for sure. Everything in life is more expensive today than it was 30 years ago. Like everything. Houses cost more, food costs more, gas costs more. Everything costs more. It's a tough reality, but it's true.
I don't even want to tell you, my daughter, younger one, played the high-level volleyball on a good team. Yeah. I don't want to tell you what it cost the last 2 years she played that. Mm-hmm. She went to tournaments in Vegas and Cleveland and Ohio and Indiana and Florida. You had to be a travel agent to play for that team. But
right.
It was, tens of thousands, so much money. But that's what the highest level sort of program was. It's not just hockey. Equipment is more expensive than hockey, of course. And ice time is expensive, but the actual dollars spent on coaches and travel and all the rest, it's the same. Soccer, basketball, baseball, hockey, you name it, volleyball. It's sort of youth sports in general.
Yes, you're right. I mean, I've been in to buy sticks. I bought bats. Like bats are $300, $400. Bats. You're not using a wooden bat that costs $20 at the gas station. If you're playing baseball, it costs money. Helmets, travel teams. Exactly. I mean, it's not perfect. We'd love to live in a perfect world. It's just not. It's not realistic. But in terms of the World Juniors, now that it's over, and the dust is settled, can you take solace in a bronze medal for Canada? And if they beat Czechia, I thought Sweden looked great last night. Like, is there a guarantee Canada was even going to beat Sweden in the gold medal game?
And absolutely not the way Sweden played last night. They were spectacular. But Canada played them twice in the pre-tournament games. They split those games. It would have been very close. Like, I think Czechia had the game of their tournament was the one they beat Canada in. Full marks. They were incredible in that tournament or in that game. But, Canada would have been favorite, probably the favorite to beat Sweden in the final. So I do think from personal experience, I played in the World Championship, Hazy, like in this exact situation. We lost in the semifinals to Czechia late on a Robert Reichel goal. So we went to the bronze medal game. We played Finland in the bronze medal game. And that team I was on was so disinterested in the bronze medal that we did not play well at all. We lost to Finland, of course, because everyone loses to Finland for fourth or third. So I give these kids full credit for figuring out how to right themselves and prioritize playing well and going out and getting the bronze medal, because it wouldn't feel good yesterday or today flying home. Trust me, in 5 years and 10 years and 20 years, you'll be very proud that you have a medal of any kind from that tournament. So I give them full credit. And they sort of did it, Hazy, with the personality they had all tournament long, right? They were going to score. They were going to attack. They were going to give up chances, but generate more of their own. It was a very offensive-minded team that was going to sink or swim with how they create and not how they defend. And that was their personality the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was pretty entertaining, that's for sure. Up front, you got to see her up close. You got to see Verhoff. Big. He looked humongous out there, I thought. Yeah. What were your impressions of this guy? It was a little bit more under the radar maybe than some of the other guys that are maybe up front for, top picks this year.
He didn't get to play every game, Struddy, and when he did play, he was largely sort of, seventh defenseman or whatever, not huge minutes. We know he's a big-time offensive guy, but Zane Parekh was snapping the puck around like it was nobody's business, so he didn't get to play in the power play. Verhoff is big. He is he moves well for a big guy. He attacks well. He clearly has the mind to go and be an offensive player. The only thing I'd say, and again, I think Verhoff is 17, is what I would say, Struddy, is that you know what it's like when you go back to your defenseman and you got to go pull a puck off the wall and figure out everything that's happening, make a good decision, then make a good pass. I think processing everything at this level, at this speed, which he wasn't alone. Like a lot of the Canadian defensemen, 19-year-old guys were having a challenge with that sometimes. That's probably the one area you would like to see him improve on, which of course he will. But he's also playing college against 23, 24-year-olds all year long. Like he's got the physical tools to be really good I think as he gets more experience and just sort of gets more comfortable in the timing of high-level hockey, that'll come along with it. But he's very good. I mean, he's a right shot guy, power play guy. Like, how many teams are looking for a good right shot top pair of defensemen? Every one of them. So, he looks good. I think what's tricky, Struddy, and I'm not a scout, is you look at Verhoff and you say, okay, is he better than Gavin McKenna? Is Gavin McKenna better than Ivor Stenberg today? And that's one conversation. And then the next one is, well, who's going to be better in 2 years or 4 years or whenever they, fully mature? And that feels like it's a different conversation. And you heard a lot of both of those versions of chatter from the scouts and from the people around the games because, the Swedish Ivor Stenberg, who had a great final game and a great tournament, he looks more prepared to play in the NHL than Gavin McKenna or Keith Verhoff. But 4 years from now, you might not be able to say the same thing. Like the ceiling for Verhoff and McKenna might be higher.
So you mentioned Parekh, and man, he put a spotlight on himself on the ice and then off the ice, where he said earlier in the tournament, quote, "I think it's more watching NHL guys be robots and not having any personality. I think you need some personality, and it's the best way to grow the game. I don't want to come in here and be a robot. When I'm in Calgary, I definitely have a lot of guys that are telling me to give really simple answers, but here I kind of do what I want," end quote. Needless to say, that got back to Calgary because I think his response to all of this yesterday, I think he spoke where he said, apologies, shouldn't have said it. I'm paraphrasing, but he backtracked pretty quickly. What do you make of the original comment, the response to it, and where this goes for Parekh when he gets back with the Flames?
So, I mean, I don't think it's particularly inflammatory, Hazy, to suggest that hockey players traditionally and generally are bland and careful and polite and maybe don't show the personality that they may have in the media. I think that's been a fair comment, maybe criticism of the sport of hockey in the NHL over the last several decades, really. I think it's changing a little bit, and we see it more younger players and new, different generation of people. But, doesn't he prove his own point? The fact that he had to apologize for saying that, he proves his own point. Clearly he felt like he said something wrong, which he didn't, but I guess he was calling his Calgary teammates boring or cautious or whatever. I don't know. You guys have been in the room. He'll probably take some flack for it. They'll probably be dressed up as robots or something when he first shows up, whatever it might be. But trying to find that balance where you can be who you are and also be respectful to your teammates in the game and everything else. And I guess that's what he's trying to do. But he's a different kind of guy. He's wired sort of free-spirited and sort of loose, the way he plays, the way he carries himself, all of it. But maybe that's what makes him good, right? If you try to change the way a person behaves, it might change the way he feels about himself, change the way he plays and why he is such a talented player. So, as long as you're being polite, as long as you're not disrespecting anyone, you can say whatever, say what you like. Just show who you are. As long as, you're not insulting people, I don't think that should be a big problem.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it was the last part where he said, I have a lot of guys telling me, basically saying, revealing the advice he's getting. Yeah, exactly. And then what happens is the media, I'm sure, goes to the veterans and say, oh, is this true? Why are you doing that? What else are you telling them? Yeah. And, if he left that comment out, I think it's likely the end of it. But it's really not that inflammatory. Where do you stand? Where are you on in this, Struddy?
What if you say this, Struddy? What if you say this? I'm the veteran, Struddy's the rookie. I say, hey, Strud, just be mindful. Media really likes to, chew on every word and twist everything. So, just be aware. Sometimes less is more can make your life easier. Now, if I say that to Struddy, am I telling you just to be bland and stupid, or am I trying to be helpful as a veteran? You got to spin it both ways if that's the conversation, no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And I think you do. The older guys always try to help the younger guys. You're not trying to make it worse for them. You want them to feel comfortable and help your team, especially a young guy like Parekh, who obviously has the ability to be a major game changer for the Flames. So I read the comment, and I agree with you. It's not like it's not terrible. But I just know that I never wanted to have to answer questions about what my other teammates are saying. I hated that.
Fair.
I don't want to have to do that. That's your business. You sort it out with them. And so that was what would bother me. We're robots, sure. And we choose to be. But I don't want to answer for you. Like, you remember when Tim Thomas, I think he chose not to go to the White House, I think?
Yes.
And then he wouldn't talk about it. Well, guess who had to talk about it? Everyone else in the dressing room. Well, I don't want to talk about it. Go ask him. Well, he doesn't want to talk. Well, make him talk. Like, that is where I would get frustrated. So, yeah, if you welcome him back and give him a hard time. But, I mean, this guy's could be a big stud for them. You know, maybe not so much right away, but in the next year or two, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's a player. Well, you're back home, so you're aware that the Panthers are in town, and Brad Marchand shows his personality. And Brad was speaking today, and he was talking about how the fans around Martin are out of town, and how it was if it wasn't Florida, it was Toronto. It was two teams. He never got to July 1st, but somehow there were only two teams that were pursuing him, and two teams he was considering. And he made the point again of why he might have come here was because they play the right way and they've learned to play the right way. And Struddy, I thought, made a great point. I hadn't looked at it through the lens of Leaf players, how he's insulting them. This, like, I always looked at it as, okay, he's trolling Toronto, the market, the fans, the media. But he's sitting here on his perch saying, oh, no, now those guys actually compete properly and they play properly and they actually know what they're doing now. And
what were they before?
Exactly. And even he's saying that even though they, he was on the ice in Game 7 when they didn't do that. They did not compete properly. Any of the Game 7s he's played against them with Florida or Boston. Like, at what point should the players on the Leafs realize he's trolling you? Like, forget Leaf fans and the market. He's trolling the dressing room 15, 20 feet down the hall.
They probably should, but Hazy, you wouldn't want to look at it that way, right? You're like, oh, Brad's being Brad, Marshy's being Marshy. You don't want to kind of revisit your own shortcomings. Like, that's probably not right where you would want to go mentally. Just because you're going through bad memories that maybe you didn't do exactly what you were hoping to do or play the way you wanted to. But he knows he's such a maestro at this. He must love coming to Toronto because he does it every time. He goes out of his way, even like sort of out of context of like whatever he might be talking about, to just to plant some of these seeds and stir it up a little bit and have a great time with it. I mean, the current players, I don't know if they're going to take great offense to any of it. They probably will just move along. But I remember, a long time ago, I was playing for Tampa, and I think it was Patrice Brisebois. We beat Montreal, and Tampa was no good. And he said something to the effect of, like, we got to be better. That team's not good enough to beat us. And, like, he was talking about himself, but in the Tampa room, we're like, what the hell are you talking about, man? Like, mind your own business. Like you can't help but take it personal. Like, you shut up. Like, worry about yourself kind of thing. So maybe the Leafs could take it that way. Either way, it's a big game tonight.
Huge.
Like, it's a significant game. The standings, the Leafs could get themselves right to the playoff border if they're able to have a good game. So you got to park that sort of commentary or maybe use it to motivate you, but you're not going to be running around trying to get Brad Marchand. That's a game that you're not going to win, that he wants to play, and one that he's better at than you. So don't worry about that. Just worry about going out and play. But no doubt it's a big game.
Huge game. Yeah, huge. I mean, the Leafs have been better. Matthews has been great.
Amazing.
I mean, he's like, where I get asked this all the time when I'm talking with friends, family members, the he's back conversation, or I'm reluctant to 100% commit to it. He's been outstanding the last 10 days. The last 6 to 8 games, he's been great. The last two in particular, Johnny, I know you're down at the juniors. You're tracking it. He's chugging, man. Like, he looks, he's
old school. Like, can I even say that about him? He's
big time.
But, like, that's, like, the sort of undeniable presence he had all over and over and over. And then the finish. And we went through some of the numbers in his game, right? You and I and the show and how he slowed down. And I'm curious to dig back into the numbers, like, in the last 10 days. Has he popped more? Like, that we talked about those little speed bursts, right? And how he was way down in the league and relative to himself in the past in how often he got to what is, for him, top speed. And it feels like, anecdotally, I haven't checked all the numbers, like he's gotten those more examples of that little dash of speed in his game now than he's had, the first half of this season. So I don't know what he did at Christmas break. I don't know where he went to rejuvenate himself. He went down to Cocoon and sat in the pool, whatever, but he's moving so well. And when he moves, the rest of the stuff all just makes sense. So yeah, it's. I don't know if he's back. I don't know if Hazy, if he's got to go 3 weeks, he's got to go a month, he's got to go 10 games, 12 games, whatever it is. He's probably not quite there, but it's such a massively positive sign that he has it, that he can bring it, and now if he can bring it sort of consistently, well, then you're on to something. Because when he's at that level, he's good enough to be, an obvious difference maker.
Johnny, I played with Steve Sullivan, and very
so
confident guy. Very, you would have been very very confident, very A-type personality. And he came in, joined the team as an assistant coach, and I wonder what impact he may have had, just a fresh set of eyes on him being the captain. And I wonder if there's any conversations there, because they've been the two pretty closely when one arrived and the other one kind of found a better version of himself.
Yeah, and you know what? God loves, and Sully is great. But you're right, Strudek. He wouldn't be shy about going up to Austin and talking to him about what he needs to do better or what's he's seeing. Like, he would not tiptoe in there. That's not who Sully was as a player and not who he is as a coach. I'm going to see Steve tomorrow down in Philly when we go down for the game there. I don't know, Struddy. Like, he showed up the first day, they scored 2 power play goals in 10 seconds. Like, I don't know if that's Sully.
He'll take it, though.
That's just the greatest timing for a debut of all time for a power play coach. And and somewhere poor Mark Savard is watching this going, what is going on out there?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now? But maybe. But I put this largely on Austin. I don't know if it's a physical thing, it's a mental thing. I do think, if you're being honest about how Toronto's playing, we talked a lot about the system. And I think Toronto is trying to tweak their system in real time and add more neutral zone play and more rush play and less dump and chase. And we talk about how do you find moments to be fast within the context of the system. I think, Hazy, the system's changing a little bit where all the players, Austin included, have more opportunities now to maybe show more speed because they're allowed to make more plays. They're not always just kind of chipping it away.
Yeah, I think that seems to be the case for sure. It's been very noticeable, and we'll see what they can do tonight with a team that obviously what Florida's going to bring to the table. All right, Johnny. Well, safe travels tomorrow. I mean, you hit the road again.
Right. Honestly.
Enjoy your house for 24 hours.
Right now. It's laundry, reload, and on we go.
Yep. Good man. All right, buddy. We'll do it later in the week. Thank you for this.
All right, boys. Have a great night.
There he is, Mike Johnson. Guy never stops. Never stops. Joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. It's time to Toyota in 2025 with the 2025 Prius. Go up to 72 kilometers on battery alone, then seamlessly switch to hybrid mode. Check it out at Maple Toyota near Canada's Wonderland in the Maple Auto Mall. You can tell that's the first time that's a new read, Strud.
Yeah,
it got me there. I stopped. I was like, oh, man, this isn't what I've been reading. You can always tell when there's a new read snuck in there, and I'm like, oh, I better slow this one down. But, yeah, it's interesting with the Leafs. Like, systematically, Steve Sullivan, couple of wins, best player starts playing better, vibes change, but they got to dig themselves out of a hole. And we didn't mention it there, Strud, but when Johnny left, Winnipeg was probably pushing for a playoff spot. They have lost 9 in a row. The Jets are dead last in the league.
Yeah.
3 points behind Vancouver, who have been a mess. Like, it's Calgary, Vancouver, Winnipeg, the 3 worst teams in the league right now, based on points.
What's crazy is that, I honestly thought that the Canadian teams were in pretty good shape. You had Edmonton, Winnipeg, Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal. You had all 5. And now it's not quite there yet, right? I mean, Toronto's fighting for their lives. Edmonton should, be a playoff team. Vancouver, they've got some work to, we know where Calgary's at. But, even Ottawa, I thought Ottawa would be a lot better off.
They lost again last night, man.
Winnipeg is, that is really crazy. Then the GM's talking and they're disappointed and hard to make changes. I get all those things, but they were an unreal team last year, and you lost Ehlers, and that's kind of where you're at.
President's Trophy to dead last.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
President's Trophy to dead last.
Yeah. They feel like a one-team line. When I watch them play,
that's what they are. Scheifele and Connor and maybe Velarde, maybe Morrissey, and they got nothing else. And Hellebuck is, since the injury, and the injury hurt, he can't be the MVP every single night.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's just not going well, that's for sure. And they
ugly.
I don't know where you go from there. They're probably reeling. What do we have to do here, right?
Well, that's it. I mean, Vancouver, you get it. They traded Quinn Hughes this year. Last year it was Miller and Tocchet left, and you kind of saw this coming to an extent. Maybe not to this extreme. Calgary is rebuilding. They're retooling. They had a horrible start. They've dug themselves out of it. The West is really watered down. 10 of the bottom 11 teams in the league are in the West.
Right.
It's crazy. Anaheim's coming back to earth. LA hasn't been great. Every team in the West, I believe, has a negative goal differential, which is
incredible.
Crazy, Strutty.
That's incredible. And then Winnipeg, they're another team that's looking for a second-line center.
Right.
They have Taves and Lowry. I think Lowry's a really good third-line center, probably a little much to be the second-line center. And Taves is trying to find his game. It's got a few holes there to plug.
It's a struggle. And wait until we get to 34 teams, 36 teams, expansion's en route. It's just going to get more and more difficult to find really deep teams. And that's why you see why Florida was so good, and they just kept everyone. We're going to try to ride this out, see what we can do. And at some point, it'll hit them. It'll hit everybody. All right, Joe Bowen coming up. Bonesy ahead of the game tonight. Big one tonight. Leafs-Panthers right here on TSN Radio. We'll get to our best bets still to come later in the hour. Oilers in action tonight. Couple of big healthy scratches. Trent Frederick not playing tonight. Mangiapane not playing tonight. So we'll get to that a little bit later on as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, best bets later in the hour. Yesterday, Black Monday in the NFL. I don't know what you call Tuesday when a coach gets fired, but it's a big one. John Harbaugh fired down in Baltimore. He's out. He's been there 18 years, Strutty.
Wow.
Won a Super Bowl, been to multiple Super Bowls. Man, beat his brother in the Super Bowl, right? Joe Flacco. He's a really good coach. He's run a really good program down there for a long time. 18 years is a long time. This year's particularly disappointing. Injuries were a problem, but the AFC North was not a great division. You thought they would be a lock for 10-plus wins and they'd win it, but they didn't. I got to think every vacancy, immediately you throw him at the top of your list.
Buddy, I saw that, and immediately, if I was the Giants, I'd be sending my plane to there to get him on, to bring him over and say, will you please do us the honor of cleaning this up?
100%.
He's got a good track record, and consistency matters. I do think that same stability and consistency matters with the franchise.
Big time. He's got credibility. He's a winner. He's been around forever. Giants high on that list. Vegas, I wonder if they may come calling. Vegas. That would put him in the same division with his brother, which would be incredible. So John Harbaugh out down in Baltimore. Matt LaFleur not out in Green Bay. I don't think he's going anywhere this year anyway. But I feel good about the Packers on Saturday night. Soldier Field taking on the Bears. I'm sure our next guest feels very positive as well. Here he is, the voice of the Leafs, part of ownership with the Packers, Joe Bowen. How you doing, Bonesy?
Majority owner. I control 5 shares, including my 4 sons. So I consider myself the majority owner. And in fact, when we made the Parsons deal, I had to talk to Jerry.
As you should.
Oh, of course.
As you should. You feeling good about your pack on Saturday night or what?
I'd feel a lot better if we were a little bit healthier and we had Mr. Parsons, but I think we might have a B.J. Raji interception available.
Ooh, I like that reference.
Yeah, I remember that. That was pretty special when the big man lumbered into the end zone against the Bears the last time we played them in the playoffs.
That's right.
It will be interesting. I am glad we're playing the Bears, though.
Me too. I didn't want Philly. I wanted nothing to do with Philly.
No, absolutely. I just think this will be it'll be a great game. And thank you, NFL, for putting it on Saturday night. Jeez.
Yeah, I know. That one stings a little bit for you.
You'd think as an owner I could make things happen, but,
Send in the suggestion. Goodell will listen. He'll get back to you ASAP.
No one listens to me anyway. What the hell's the difference?
Saturday night, we've obviously got the Leafs in Vancouver in town, and you'll be down at the rink calling that. You're down there now for the Panthers in town tonight, and this is a big one, Bonesy, as you know. I mean, and I'm curious if you have any intel on the pregame ceremonies, because Austin, I'm sure they'll be celebrating him setting the new team record. And as you've been stating and everyone's well aware of, you've called every single one of his goals. Is that true or not? Am I saying something? Go ahead.
A Bowen.
A Bowen has called. That's
every
right.
One of his goals.
Because he had.
Yes.
Okay, that's important
I was
detail.
about 8 deep into the Crown Royal when Austin scored in the third period, and David called that one. But I've got the other ones.
Okay, good. I'm
Strutty, it's old time hockey here. You know what I mean?
Oh, I hear you.
I'm glad you mentioned that detail. I did not pick up on that. I thought
That's
you would
quite
call
all right.
them, but a Bowen is called every
Yes.
single one.
Yes.
And I was there with you in Ottawa when he started his career scoring 4, and I remember.
And you know what the best part about that night was, Brian? We went back to the hotel. Lou had kicked us off the charter, so we were flying commercial.
Right.
And we got into the bar at the Brook Street, and Mr. and Mrs. Matthews were there. I had not met his parents. We got to having a couple of cocktails at the bar. I called the radio station. They sent down the goals, and I played them for them at the bar. And I think all of us were weeping. I know they were. And we've been very good friends ever since. And that was a very special moment. And the older you get, you kind of associate and maybe understand the parents more than you do the kids, because we're closer in age, I guess. And it's always been fun. I love the parents' trips, the fathers' trips, when you would get to go out with the dads and you found out what kind of a hockey parent they were, and realized they weren't the ones on the glass banging and everything. They were the ones that made sure that everybody got to where they had to go, and made sure that if they wanted to play, they got every opportunity to play. It was really a revealing thing.
Yeah, that's a cool story, and it was awesome. They were there, and I remember the cameras were on them, and his mom's reaction in particular, because everyone was in shock. 4 goals as a rookie, his first game ever. It was insane.
Absolutely.
And for him,
absolutely.
And obviously he hasn't slowed down, and it seemed inevitable almost from that night onward that he was probably going to catch Sundin. But, I'm guessing you called every one of Matt's goals as a Maple Leaf as well, or real close to. I don't think your oldest son would have been calling games.
No, I think
back then.
missed. I may have missed 3 or 4, I believe, because of illness and various other things during that time. But yeah, I mean, these 2 guys have been the cornerstones of this franchise back to back. And you think of all of the guys whose banners are hung in the rafters here, and how many of them were the leading scorers in the history of this franchise over the course of their careers, and Conakers and Baileys and Kellys and Apps and Kennedys. I mean, all of them at one point held that crown, and now we have this. And I hate to use the term, he's not a kid anymore, but he sure seems like it. He's done it in such a record fashion that he's going to put a milestone number up at the end of his career that is going to be almost insurmountable, and may in fact be insurmountable in the future. So we're living in a very special time to watch this young man play. He hasn't had the best first half, but he's heating up, and like every good goal scorer that I've ever seen, they get hot and they get rolling, and then you can't stop it.
Yeah,
it's amazing being the franchise leader for any franchise, but especially the Leafs, is a really special moment. And you see the way he's kind of finding his game. What have you seen recently that you've seen? Okay, well now he's maybe finding another gear or finding more opportunities. Line mates, why is he all of a sudden kind of seemingly becoming the guy that we know we've seen him be good so many times before?
I think we're seeing 2 line mates in Domi and McMahon that are complementing him. McMahon's straightaway foot speed on the forecheck has been impressive. Max has found another gear, and the other thing is, if you're a goal scorer, you have to be selfish. You've got to shoot the puck when it comes to you. And enough of this trying to be the good teammate and the centerman to pass off and stuff. I think we're seeing that lesson is getting through again, and he's shooting the puck more. And we all know what kind of a shot he has, and it's been very special to watch. So I think that's all part and parcel of it. And I think that at this point, The coach is leaving those three to be together, and the power play obviously is heating up, and for good reason. They're being selfish again. They're shooting the puck at the net, which is the whole idea of the exercise. And he's going to get his goals off the power play throughout the course. And right now they've got the hottest power play in the league over a short period of time, but at least it's moving in the right direction.
With Joe Bowen ahead of the game tonight, Leafs Panthers right here on TSN Radio. Navigating the injury list has been quite something this year, Bonesy, and I'm curious how you've handled it personally, showing up at the rink.
Fine.
You feel okay?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I did fall down the stairs a little bit this morning when I was coming down, and my cat got in the way. But I'm okay. I'm going to be fine. I'm still here. I'm in the chair.
Okay, good. Because it's a challenge, man. Now Carlo's coming back tonight, and it's amazing how an injury can change the whole the perception of a player, because he struggled early in the year. And a lot of people are getting on him, and now he's coming back, and it's like, bring out the red carpet. Thank God he's here.
Yeah, it's and they'll miss Jake McCabe. I mean, his plus-minus is among the best in the league, and he's played exceptionally well. And Chris Tanev, I've said this many times, I thought was this team's most valuable player a year ago, and that's saying something. And to have both of them out now, they are going to have to patch things together. They made a lot of moves last year to add depth defensemen, and we're seeing that it's at least paying off now that they have people to plug in. And adding Brandon Carlo at the trade deadline looked like it was going to be a solid move in that department to start the season. He struggled, but you're right. He's coming back, and he's going to be asked to play some decent minutes tonight because McCabe's not available. So every team is going through it. I mean, you can't cry big crocodile tears for the Leafs because every team is going through this because of the compacted schedule and everything else. But it would be nice if for a small stretch of this season they had the team that they actually had on the bulletin board at the beginning of the season to think that this was the team that they were going to put out in the ice.
Yeah, pretty amazing. I mean, so many teams are dealing with injuries. But, now that Matthews and his lines seem to have something going on, is it more of a tension now on the bottom six and maybe finding, some stability there, even with the injuries that you've just talked about?
I would think so, Strutty. But, I mean, until they get Nylander back, you don't know who's really with the bottom six. I think the Scotty Lawton line has played really, really well. You wish they had a better feel around the net, because they have forechecked extraordinarily well. They play in important minutes. I don't know if you want to tag them as the fourth line or the third line, but the way Craig Berube plays them, he has a great deal of confidence in them. They kill penalties. The penalty kill has been the league's best since the 1st of December, and among the league leaders throughout the course of the year. It's been really the only thing they could hang their hat on and say, hey, this is working really well. Don't screw this up. And they haven't. And so I think that group has played very, very well. I think he and Lorenz and whoever they've had on the wing with them has added that kind of stability. They've played in the opponent's zone most of the time. You wish they had a little better feel for putting the puck in the net because they seem to generate some chances every night. But, that is one of the areas I'm sure that they would like to have some production from. But, my gosh, you take a look at some of the other teams and how top-heavy they are. The Winnipeg Jets the other night were so top-heavy going forward on what they have to have and nothing coming from the bottom end that it was really glaring. But I guess every team goes through that. You're hoping for having some stability in the lineup and some spreading out of the wealth, but you're paying the big guys to score, and the big guys better score.
Yeah, well, we got stability in the booth. You and Ralphie, no one can take you out. No one can take you two out.
No one could afford to take us out.
That's right, exactly.
In the old days, that was a hefty bill.
Absolutely.
I had a nice long chat with Cliff Fletcher about that the other day. I phoned him on the anniversary of the Doug Gilmour trade. He's doing really well down in Arizona and celebrated his 90th birthday. So we wish him all of the best down there.
Absolutely. Have a great one tonight, and we'll do it again soon. Thank you, Bonesy.
You bet, guys.
There he is, Joe Bowen. Yeah, Cliff Fletcher, man. That was just the anniversary of the Gilmore trade. 10-player trade. That's how good Doug Gilmore was, that 10 players were involved, and it's the Doug Gilmore trade, right? It's not the Gary Lehman trade. It's not Greg Berube was in that. Jamie McCowan was in that. 10 players. But Gilmore changed everything the second he got here. But, yeah, big one tonight. Brandon Carlo returning is significant, and he's going to pair with Morgan Riley. And I know you're aware of this, Struddy. Like, Riley is in the crosshairs of this fan base right now, the way he's playing. Like, it's not been good. He has really struggled defensively to the point where if they were fully healthy, I think you could have the conversation. Do you hide him in some capacity? Do you start, is it offensive zone starts? Do you try to get him out there against third, fourth lines? Because I think he's played himself into that conversation based on his performance, but based on the injuries with Tanev out, McCabe out, even Carlo just getting back, he's going to play. Berube's going to play him, and he's going to play him a lot. So it's on him. He's got to be exponentially better than he has been recently.
Well, and that's the expectation. They have him slotted as a guy who makes a difference night in, night out, right? And, it's when a key player for you isn't doing what he needs to do, it makes it hard because you're looking around like, well, who's supposed to do it? No one's looking down at, although Stetcher's been, a good pickup, but no one's looking at Benoit or Myers saying, hey, you got to get this done. Like, it's just like when Matthews wasn't playing at the level he wants. No one's thinking, oh, well, we'll get it done with Lawton or whoever. Like, it's you. You need your top guys playing well, and everyone slots down properly after that. So I hear, Bones talk about, Matthews shooting. No one in that room will say, well, why is Matthews shooting? We want you shooting. We want that guy shooting pucks. Same thing with Riley. We want you moving the puck, transitioning the puck. Like, you have to do what you can to support the group.
Yes, and he is at the forefront of that now because you're right. Like, you can replace third, fourth line guys, third pairing guys. Not that you want to.
No.
But you can. Yeah. It's easier. You can't replace the high-end guy who's playing 22, 23 minutes a night. You can't. It's not possible. Benoit can't do it. He might do it for a game, a couple games maybe. Matt Benning could step in and give you a game or two. Maybe 5, maybe 7, maybe 10. Not giving you 40, 41. It's not going to happen. They need Morgan Riley, and they're going to play him. Sink or swim at the top end, and that's exactly where he presides. All right, best bets coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, best bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. I think this game's going to overtime tonight, Struddy. Getting plus money, wow. You always do. It just feels like a 3-point game. These teams within the division, they're both fighting for it. Almost a truce in the third period. I think Matthews stays hot. He broke the record the other night. Should be a little ceremony for him before the game. I think he gets on the board. But I'm sniffing out overtime tonight. And you get good plus money on that. Best bets powered by FanDuel. Same-game parlays around the NHL are available on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly, 18+, physically located in Ontario. Golf is not at the forefront of really what anyone's doing right now. But this week would have been the Century in Kapalua, which is one of my favorite tournaments of the year. They had to cancel it because there's some big water issue with Kapalua. And anyway, they canceled the tournament. But the professional golf season kicks off next week, and before you know it, we're going to be at the Players Strut, and we have an unbelievable giveaway. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it online, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you want to, get to social media and follow TSN 1050. But the PGA Tour and TSN 1050 want you to be our unofficial correspondent at the Players Championship down in Jacksonville, Florida. And we're not just sending you to the players. You're getting inside the ropes access. You'll be walking side by side with the players at the players. So starting next Monday, January 12th, head to tsn1050.ca. That's the website, tsn1050.ca, and submit your audition tape. Recreate iconic calls from the players or make up your own masterpiece from your own favorite moments. And someone's going to win a once-in-a-lifetime golf prize pack that includes flights, hotel, spending cash, tickets to the hospitality suite, 18 holes of golf at TPC Sawgrass's Dyes Valley, inside the ropes access, behind-the-scenes tour, and more. What an opportunity. You can't beat that, Strud. That's as good as it gets.
But you can't buy that package.
You can't.
got to win it. That's what makes it so amazing. That'd be. I saw that actually, and I think I'm going to put my name in there. Maybe a different, like James Strudwick.
I like that. James Strudwick, the correspondent for TSN Radio down at the Players. I love that because we're probably going to have whoever wins on the show. Like we'll check in. Yeah.
You got it.
Let's head down to the Players. Here's James Strudwick joining us now inside the ropes. I like that idea. So here's your chance to be 1050's correspondent at the Players with the Players, tsn1050.ca. All right, Struddy, that's the end of it, man. Tiffany, we should be playing the song right now. You know,
it's never long enough, but that just leaves me wanting more.
Yeah, it's like Rose and Jack at the end, right? Someone's got to sink here. I don't know if I'm Jack. I don't know if you're Rose. I don't know. Someone's sinking, but it's the end. Yeah. It was great while it lasted, buddy. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you for doing this as always. There he is, Jason Strudwick. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes. There it is. I love it.
Love this. Slow dancing.
Can't beat it, man. Can't beat it. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at 4 p.m. We'll chat then.